Welcome to Smart Route, the podcast by Call Tracking Metrics, where you'll hear stories from businesses at the intersection of marketing, customer experience, and sales. We're sitting down with business leaders and industry experts to dive deep into the path they took to find success. Here's your host, Andrew Clark.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew Clark here at Call Tracking Metrics and the host of Smart Route Podcast. Thanks again for tuning in today. Today I am joined by a CTM partner and co-owner and co-founder of Falcon Digital Marketing out of Houston, Texas, Chris Cabaniss. Thanks so much for taking the time today to speak with us. And Chris and I have spoken over email. I guess it's coming up on over 6 months. You did a guest post for our website, and we'll make sure to link to that post as well. Chris is an industry veteran with a particular focus on PPC, and that's how I best know his work and what he's been doing. And that's going to be the topic of today's conversation as well, with a particular focus with his work with call tracking metrics, what he's done, what he's learned, and I mean, just given what I've read of Chris before, with a heavy focus on the tactics and things that you can actually go out and do on your own accounts. And I think there's going to be a lot to learn. So definitely, if you're a practitioner, listen in on this episode in particular. Chris, over to you, man. If you could just introduce yourself to listeners.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to share some PPC knowledge here. Hopefully, it's useful to everyone. They can find some good tactics they can apply right away. As you said, I'm the co-founder of Falcon Digital Marketing. We specialize in mainly lead generation for a lot of different industries, a lot more competitive ones like home services or local businesses, things like that. So, been using call tracking metrics for a long time. It's just we found it's just a critical tool we need to evaluate calls because we found there's a lot of different places to get leads, and we mainly focus on the advertising side, so Google or Facebook or wherever you want to look at, but you have to look at lead quality. So with call tracking metrics, able to handle all the calls, of course the forms and everything you could just read through, or a live chat, other options, but the calls, that was always a disconnect. So we like with call tracking metrics, of course, you can listen to them. They have the AI that will do the keyword spotting. You can evaluate the calls and then take all that data, put it into your CRM, and then kind of put it through. And so there's a lot of really good things. We'll get into the more technical stuff. I've been using call tracking metrics almost as long as I've been doing PPC advertising. So started in 2009, and then I started my career as just an individual, kind of working into freelancing and doing a little bit of everything. Then focused on advertising and switched over to the agency side of it for quite a few years. Worked for some large agencies, some very very large companies through that, and then later started co-founded my own agency in 2016. So yeah, been in the industry a long time now.
Yeah, and I'd love to delve a little more into that. What initially sparked your interest in doing marketing at large, and then eventually finding PPC, kind of advertising, all that?
I was originally trying to market several of my own businesses, kind of right at kind of college, and then right out of college. Me and some friends were just kind of learning about online marketing. It's like, oh, it's this exciting thing. You could build your own website and make a bunch of money and do this and do that. So I dabbled in a lot of different things, just kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. So me and that's kind of sounds cliche. Me and kind of dorm room buddies started a business, but it didn't turn into $1 billion business. So I guess it's not that cliche of a story, but that's kind of where I started originally for my own business. And then other people ask, well, can you do Google ads for my business? Can you do, at the time it was Facebook ads, not Meta
Mhm.
ads. Same concept though. Or can you build a website? Or can you do SEO? So I did a little bit of everything at first, and I'd get referrals, and then I learned, wow, this is a job in itself, just doing marketing for other people, and I loved it, and just couldn't stop just reading things and books and different blogs, and YouTube wasn't as big at the time, but just courses and things like that. Just constantly consuming. How do you get better at online marketing? So just stacks and stacks of books and training, and later went to conferences and things like that. So that it started as wanting to market my own businesses, and then it switched to, okay, I'm going to market anybody's business, and
Mhm.
people pay for that. And then that's when it switched into a career, and that's when I went to the larger agencies for a while. And then just being an entrepreneur at heart, it's like, okay, I've learned the industry. I want to go back and co-found it, um, with my wife, our own agency, because she similar career path. So we both
Okay.
started our own agency in 2016, and yeah, it's just still very passionate about it. It's constantly changing, so it doesn't get stale. Google overhauls everything, and Meta does the same. Pretty much all of them just follow, and it's a whole new set of rules and technology. And now there's AI. There's a million things, so it's almost like
Mhm.
it resets every 3 to 6 months. So it's very exciting, and yeah,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
guess that's
I
it.
mean, so yeah, no, so much of what you're describing resonates with me, and I mean, I'm somewhat of a late entrant to this field. Started out working in 2014 with a career shift, and started doing podcasting and digital marketing. But I always found PPC in particular to be the most daunting, even if in some ways it's easier because you're able to play with budgets and do a lot of targeting and everything. Whereas SEO, personally, I find it to be a lot. I mean, all these disciplines have their own challenges, but um, just not having money to necessarily throw at things. But as we've seen over the years, and like you're describing, Google, Meta, whoever changes the game constantly. So I'd love to just get right into what brought us here today. Talk about what you're doing with some of your clients currently, how you're leveraging technology like call tracking to better qualify leads, generate more leads. So yeah, just kind of step us through your experience with call tracking metrics and what you've learned over the years, because as you said, you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. So and you mentioned the article too. Definitely link to that. This is more for people that really want to. The article, if you really want to, read. You're a reader and you want to go line by
Mhm.
line, and with all the different information. That's definitely an expansion about what we're talking about. There's a lot of crossover with that. So that's great article on the blog. But I'll expand on that and try not to do too much crossover. The biggest thing we've found with lead generation for our clients, it's a lead quality thing. It's not that hard to get leads, and we have a lot of home services clients. I'll use that as an example. But well, I mean that's really true with attorneys or insurance or many different industries. You have a lead quality issue. Getting leads isn't that hard. I mean, you have people that sell leads, and you can go that option. You just buy a bundle, and it's $20 per lead or $100 per lead or whatever you're paying. There's a lot of crisscross, but they sell it to multiple people, so you have to really really look at your quality then, because you're paying for the
Mhm.
lead. Or if people want to try Facebook or Meta ads, or something a little bit different like YouTube, and then of course Google search. Google search is now split into a lot of different options. They have the local services ads, or Google guarantee, it's another name for them, and they have a lot of issues with lead quality because you pay per the phone call. So people initially say, well, that's the best one to go to. Why pay per
Mhm.
click when I could pay per phone call? So, well, listen to those calls.
Right.
There's a reason all the other advertising still exists. It's
Mhm.
a mess. I'd say about 50-50 at best. It's not useless, but you've got to plug in software on top of that. And that's what we found, when I started over a decade ago. Yeah, the call tracking metrics, we use that at the other agencies I worked with. And when I started my agency, I wanted to use call tracking metrics. It's the best. That's what we're using. There are other options, but that's, I was familiar with it. I liked it. I have tried other things. Let's stick with that. And it was more of an extra layer, like, hey, you can listen to calls, and hey, look, it picks up the keyword that people searched on the
Mhm.
phone call. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's a bonus. I'd say in the past couple years, particularly, I'd say last 3 years, with a lot more automation, a lot more AI, Google changing things every 3 months, it seems. Now it's critical. You can't not track your calls. You
Hmm.
can't, because you'll get bombarded. Well, oh, I can go buy leads here. I can do some SEO, or I can do the Google guarantee thing, and just I pay per
Sure.
phone calls, and the phone calls just pour in. Life is good. It's like, no, you absolutely have to record those, listen to those, look at the quality, connect them to your CRM, or if that's too much budget, you're a smaller company, just do it manually. Call tracking metrics has, you could do the stars, what's the score, what's
Hmm.
the rating. You can manually type a little note in there. Was it a good lead, a bad lead? You can convert it. Did it become a sale? So call tracking metric
Sure.
has a little mini CRM built in. Ideally, if you have the money, connect it to a larger CRM. You're doing a service titan like for home services, or Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, Pipedrive, whatever it is, the bigger ones, you can connect it to that. But I think that's a really big shift. It's critical to track leads now, whereas before it
Hmm.
was just an extra thing. So now it's like, with our clients, if calls are coming in, which is nearly all of them, you have to connect it to call tracking metrics to evaluate call quality. It's not a bonus. It's don't launch ads until you have call tracking set up.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And I mean, you kind of allude to some of this when you're talking about some of the clients you're advising. And what are some of the common like pushback, or like, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but just kind of hesitancies for your customers adopting something like a call tracking metrics? Are they just overwhelmed by like, oh, what, this is too out of my know-how? Obviously, working with an agency is great because you guys know the tech inside and out. Um, but yeah, I'm just curious from a small to medium sized business owner perspective, what's kind of the hesitancy? Because, like you said, like, it should be crystal clear the benefits you're going to get from working with a call tracking metrics. And yeah, so I'd love to hear from kind of someone on the front lines, even in this day and age with all the things you listed out. It seems like it should be a no brainer.
Yeah, I think the smallest company, it might be the cost.
Mhm.
You guys have promos and everything. I don't know your exact pricing off the top of my head.
It's all good.
Let's just $30, $50 per month, whatever it is, for just to get the account set up. And
Mhm.
let's just say 50 for sake of argument. So maybe if someone's, they're owner operated, they're one person or a four-person company, something like that, it's like, wow, $50 a month, that's a lot just to track the phone calls. But you think about what you're going to get out of that and
Mhm.
what it does for you. I think, we run the same issue when people are talking about marketing budget. Well, smaller companies, oh, $1,000 a month, 2,000 a month on Google. That's so much. I don't know how am I gonna be able to afford that? And if they want to grow, it's like, well, how many people are on your crew? It's like, well, I have two and I want to hire three. I want to hire a fourth. I'm in the northern part of the city. I want to go to the southern part of the city, or I want to expand into five more zip codes. It's like, okay, well then here's what you need to do. And you
Mhm.
have to look at it. It's like, well, I'm gonna cut out call tracking so I could put more money into ads, or a little more into SEO, or get the website redesigned. And without evaluating what's going to come in, then your marketing dollars or your SEO or even mailers, you can buy a phone number and print it.
Sure.
This isn't necessarily advertising or a billboard. A lot of times you see vanity numbers. Call tracking metrics can do that. If you don't attach a phone number to it and spend that extra tracking money, you don't know what's working and what isn't. So first, it seems like 50 a month or 100 a month just to track calls. I can pick up the phone. Who cares? It's like, well, then you're not evaluating how did those mailers do. And
Mhm.
people say, well, I can just ask, how did you hear about us? And with marketing, there's so many touch points. People, they 1 out of 10 people say, I got your mailer last Tuesday, and you could pinpoint it to the exact thing, assuming you only did one mailer, and no promos, no two different designs or anything like that. Maybe with Google, it's nearly impossible. I have heard people say, well, what keyword did you search? They don't remember. They searched three
Sure.
times, and then maybe they later as a remarketing ad, they click back and then they saw you on Facebook and then they saw you recommended in Facebook in some group where they asked, does anyone know a good plumber? And then they Googled your name and then they clicked on it and then they looked at your reviews and then they came back. And it's just, it's way, way too many touch points. And I think that's when just asking somebody, how did you hear about us? They likely don't remember, they say the wrong thing, or they say, I Googled you. Google has hundreds of keywords running at the same time. You need that extra layer that can pinpoint exactly where they came from so you can get the most out of your marketing dollars. So it's like the cost justifies it. And the tech, I mean, you guys do have really good articles. People can learn how to do it themselves, or it's that extra layer when business owners get overwhelmed enough. It's like you need to start allocating some budget to hire some things out. And if you're not
Sure.
techie, you don't want to do it at night or weekends or when you're not doing your primary job. It's time to put some budget aside to hire either a freelancer, an in-house person, or an ad agency to do it for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everything you're talking about, this kind of natural evolution of thinking, I've experienced that as well, working in agencies, big and small. And yeah, it can be frustrating along the way, but I feel like when you have those aha moments in clients, then it's like, okay, now we're really cooking and we can do greater things building upon this shared understanding. And you're talking about it with the lead quality. And I mean, in your experience, what has been the most beneficial when you're working in call tracking metrics? You've done the basic attribution setup, which you mentioned just a minute ago. What's kind of that next step that you are working with your customers on?
Found that extra lead quality for a smaller business, that's huge. If you get one or two phone calls a day or one every other day, something like that, you can manually do it. You can listen to the calls, you can track, okay, we started some ads on Facebook, some meta ads or some Google ads, or we did mailers, whatever it is. And you can get that extra layer when the budget's really tight. With a larger company, having a 30% increase or reducing low quality leads or something like that, every little bit makes a huge difference. So if,
Mhm.
if you are spending 50,000 a month or 200,000 a month on marketing, that extra layer is critical. And you get, when you're having a very, very high volume of calls, you need to look at every single call, and call tracking metrics can do that at scale. And that's what we do for our clients, is adding all that automation. It has the AI
Mhm.
with the keyword spotting that, to just oversimplify it, it will listen for the word appointment or a time or booking or something like that, to where it could pick up, okay, yes, this turned into an appointment. So you don't have to listen to hundreds and hundreds of calls. You can do that, and then it either automatically does it, or you can use, you can connect the APIs or do Zapier or something, connect it to your CRM. That's what we do for our clients. We can see, did a phone call turn into a sale or an appointment or a demo, the next step. And if it did, it will automatically flip. So it goes from call tracking metrics to the CRM. The CRM, whatever they do in there, say, yes, they booked an appointment. This was a sale. It was a
Mhm.
$10,000 sale. That automatically goes back to call tracking metrics, and it has, call tracking metrics has the dollar amount in there, and then call tracking metrics can flip the switch to say, this call searched this keyword on Google on this day, turned into a sale for $10,000, and that can go back to Google Analytics, which can go into reporting, and then you have an exact ROI for lead generation. Now, if you're a smaller business, you probably have no idea what I just said, but if you're up to 200,000 a month or something like that, the
Mhm.
much larger companies, this is critical, because usually you don't have that level of data to which calls are turning into sales, or maybe you do, but the dollar amount to get an ROI on lead generation is critical. We advise everyone to do that. We do that for all of our clients, so we can say, okay, this month we spent $50,000 on meta ads. You made $120,000. Yes, that's a good source. Here's how many good
Mhm.
leads, how many bad leads, how many leads turned into new customers or appointments or estimates or whatever it is for the industry. And that extra layer that call tracking metric has built in as complicated or not complicated as you want, that's critical for clients of any size.
For sure. Yeah, and I would just echo that on top of all the transcription automations that are possible, and just to tease this because of when this episode will be coming out in August, we're just on the cusp of debuting some voice AI and upgraded chat AI capabilities as well that can be piggybacking on everything you described, because that's another way. As marketers, we're constantly thinking, how do we engage our audiences? How do we get the information they're seeking as easily as possible to them? And I'm also curious, just because we're talking about phone calls, and this has been the news just in the past week, about Google on, I believe, local service businesses allowing AI to place phone calls for pricing and whatnot. Is this something you're already starting to experiment with, or is it kind of just like, oh, I'm going to try this out and see what happens?
We have a few clients doing it, and they're happy with
Mhm.
the results. And whether it's AI or a call center, or your nephew, whoever's picking up the phone for
Sure.
your business, which we've heard all of those, or yourself, for smaller businesses,
Mhm.
listening to that call. I think the AI, you do need to listen to those, to make sure it doesn't sound weird. That's what a lot of
Sure.
people think. Like, well, it doesn't sound like a human. And the few clients we have, they're doing it. It does sound human. It's very good. Uh, Again, with recording the calls, yes, listen to your AI, train it, have all that built in. But it is new, but so far it's doing well. Home services is a really good one because a lot of times
Mhm.
this is broken. Can you come out today? The back and forth, no, but we can come out tomorrow at 8 a.m. Or, what's it can give a basic estimate, or it can at least do the same thing a call center would do. If someone
Sure.
has, I need this, this, and this, it's like, okay, I'll have a tech call you right back for a specific estimate. Or we're not sure. Can we come out at 2 and take a look at that and get you a more accurate estimate? A lot of that, what a call center would do, which those are very expensive too, hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars per month for live answering services. AI can handle most of that. Kind of like live chat AI is a lot better than it used to be. It used to
Sure.
be, not very smart. It just kind of spit out answers. But yeah, the voice AI and the live chat AI are much better. And again, you could plug that into call tracking metrics.
Mhm.
You can plug that into your CRM, and just always evaluate it, whether it's AI or a human being. It's the same process.
Sure. And as I said, this episode's coming out in August. It's one of the peak seasons, I would imagine, for your home services clients. For anybody listening from that industry, I mean, could we talk some like tactics that you would recommend, like just advice as you're revving up for this busy season? Um, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. One would be get a call tracking software solution in place, but yeah, anything in addition from like the guest posts you wrote for us, or just even from general experience over the years.
Yeah, I think a lot of that automation that call tracking metrics can do. I mean, if you are a smaller company, you can manually go through each call one by one, but we deal with a lot of clients, they're 50 phone calls a day or 100 phone calls per day. Some of them have data analysts that will do a spreadsheet and all that. For most people, they don't have that money to outsource that, or they don't have
Mhm.
someone, they don't have a marketing team of five that works with us that just goes through Excel all day. If you have that, that's great. If not, you can automate quite a bit of it. I mean, just one simple thing, that we do that's huge, and this is published all over the place. You can do minimum call length to count
Mhm.
it inside of any system you do, and call tracking metrics does that. Google has it built in. Meta Ads has it built in now. You can do at least 30 seconds or at least 2 minutes. And that's critical. We found that, I mean, talk about using AI. This blocks out all of the people that, home services people looking for a job. That's extremely common.
Yep.
Are you hiring right now? That you can block that out because it's not going to be a 2 minute phone call, or AI can
Hmm.
block that out. Or are you listen for hiring or jobs or whatever the word is, and then block that and handle it. Also, that's a default with every single client. We typically do 1 minute. Sometimes you could do 2 or 3. Don't do 10 minutes. Don't be greedy for attorneys and insurance. 15 minutes only. Because sometimes you can get a very, very fast call. We've heard
Sure.
40-second calls for AC repair.
Wow.
My house is 100 degrees. Can you come out today? Yes, we can be there in an hour. Great, thanks. Bye. You can't have a call under 1 minute that's legitimate, particularly home services. They're not
Hmm.
very long, actually. They're not even going to go to 5 minutes. Otherwise, what you're kind of diagnosing it over the phone. They just book an appointment and go. So, minimum call length, typically a minute. I think that's linked to the article and call tracking
Yep.
metrics, the exact screenshots of how to do that. So minimum of 1 minute before you send it to Google Ads or Google Analytics or Facebook Ads. It's an integration in there. It's done just look at the help article. So it says, tell Meta or Google, do not count it as a conversion unless it's at least 1 minute, because everything's switching to AI and automated bidding, and Google has, the Performance Max and AI Max for search campaigns is a new thing that's coming out, kind of keywordless um, campaigns and all this. You need to connect it and train it. Say, okay, this was a good lead, this was a bad lead. And if you
Hmm.
constantly feed their system, stop getting calls that are 20 seconds, it will stop, because otherwise that's what breaks. And you'll say, wow, we got 100 calls today. 30 of them were people looking for a job. 30 of them hung up immediately. 10 of them were the wrong number. And Google doesn't know. It says, wow, you're getting calls, or Meta doesn't know. It'll get more of those calls and more and more and more and more. So if you
Hmm.
send it back and say, okay, don't count it unless it's 2 minutes, and then suddenly the AI gets much, much smarter. So that's one critical thing we put in the accounts to ramp up, because otherwise, yeah, you'll get bombarded with calls. Or if you want to do something experimental, roofers do this a lot when there's a storm. They want to
Yep.
ramp things up when there's a hailstorm. If you want to do one of those crazy tests, or just bombard Facebook, just target everyone within a 50-mile radius, or all these zip codes. If you attach call tracking and evaluate all that and say the calls have to be at least 2 minutes, you listen for estimate or appointment or this or that, then yeah, you can test something crazy like that. Roofers with hail, that's the most common
Hmm.
thing by far. Texas in particular has had a lot of storms lately.
Yep.
We've had a lot of hailstorms, a lot of, or hurricane season. That's a pretty common one. If you want to do a very, very big test like that and you attach all these qualifiers to it, then yeah, Meta can do what it's supposed to do. Google can do what it's supposed to do. And I think that's something critical with home services. You kind of have your evergreen, AC repair near me, plumber near me, tree services in this zip
Sure.
code. Those are always running. Kind of your wild idea. That's when you have to attach tracking. Otherwise, you throw $10,000 on 2 weeks and say, did that work? It's like, I'm not sure. And you
Right.
don't want to have that, roofers with the hailstorm thing. It's like, was it worth spending that? And if you attach, call tracking on top of it, you say, actually, yeah, there's 20 jobs booked out of that. Or you could say,
Hmm.
no, a lot of people clicked, barely any estimates, barely any new customers.
Right. And I love that, yeah, because I've actually been on the receiving end of some of that, living where I do. Uh, and yeah, it's always followed up by not only the online ads, but also solicitors coming door to door, which, hey, melding the new and the old school marketing techniques, I appreciate it. But
Solar, that's a very common one, which I
yes.
think solar, I just advise people to
Mhm.
flip on that rather than knocking on their door because you bought a list that this house qualifies for solar, kind of interrupting their dinner. Just a little biased towards it. I think people that are typing in Google right now, I want solar for my house, it's going to be a much
Mhm.
better lead. It's probably a
For
lot more
sure.
cost per lead than putting people, out on the street banging on the doors. It seems cheaper, but you have to evaluate, okay, how much did it cost to pay all those people to go door to door with the list you bought? Or you can take the same list, the same zip codes, neighborhoods, whatever you want, put them on Meta ads and Google ads, put tracking on top of it, and put those side by side, and get that that tracking, because I've never purchased anything from someone coming to my door, pest control, roofing, solar. Maybe they have data to say otherwise, but I'd
Mhm.
say put all your tracking on both. I would say online ads, people actively seeking what you sell is going to convert much better than showing up at their door, regardless of what you say.
Absolutely.
But
And then, Chris, just as we're, you know, winding down this episode, something that I always like to put to my guests is, what type of advice do you have for people entering the marketing world right now? There's so much disruption going on, but I feel like, as an industry veteran, you have some nuggets that would be good for people starting out, or even those who are still, very much in the prime of their careers, but are just looking to learn.
sure. I think one thing that has changed since I started, and this isn't just online advertising. This
Mhm.
is just in general. There's a lot more self-published people, and some of them are great. The whole influencer thing with
Mhm.
well, TikTok probably not so much for professionals, but just Instagram. I'd say YouTube is more common for professionals. People are self-published and say, "This is how you do Google. This is the hack. I'm the Facebook expert. This is how you do it." And they literally just recorded themselves. I think
Right.
look at who people are, Google
Mhm.
them, look where are they published anywhere else? And do they have anything going on? Because sometimes they don't exist outside of Instagram, and I'd say that's a massive red flag. And people that have a lot of Instagram followers should do a video on how to get more Instagram followers. That's their expertise. When they start talking about something else, I wouldn't say, well, look how many followers they have, or look how many subscribers they have on YouTube. They must be an expert. That's not how you evaluate experts at all. Look at them outside of the original source and see, are they a professional? Do they have a company? Who am I watching on YouTube right now? I think that's there are some good YouTubers out there, but I think kind of search engine land has been around a very long time, a legitimate publication or blogs of larger companies. You guys
Mhm.
do it. Call Tracking Metrics blog. HubSpot does a lot of content. Um, SEM Rush, which they call themselves SEMrush now. I'm saying it the old way. They have a blog, WordStream. There's a lot of people that it's usually software, and then they have a blog too, and they're really,
Mhm.
really good blogs, and they're legitimate companies. YouTube does have some options, but going to the industry veterans or very, very large companies that have blogs that do deep dives, or this podcast here, just kind of look up who you're listening to. And just evaluate them. Search engine land's good. Let me see. I kind of had I like Paid Media Pros. I know them. Worked with them. They're on YouTube. Ed Leak. He has God tier ads. He's had that course forever. I've been through it myself. Very good course. He has YouTube. PPC Mastery. Miles McNair. Worked with him as well. Aaron Young on YouTube. Ben Heath on YouTube. Darren Taylor on YouTube, and all these guys. You can Google them. All these guys and girls. You can Google them, and you see here's their company, here's their publication, here's them speaking at some conference 6 months ago.
Mhm.
As I was talking about, um, you see kind of their resume, and they are legitimate. So I'd recommend following them, staying on top of it. If you want to stick with online advertising or veterans, we have to learn everything. You can't do something you
Mhm.
did 2 years ago. Don't be stubborn. I do that too. I didn't like Performance Max when it came out, but now you have to learn it. And then new people, just make sure whoever you're listening to is legitimate. There's a good list there, or look up your own list and just really do some research on who you're listening to and make sure they're legit, because there's a lot of fake ones out there. That's a
Yes.
pretty good list to get started with. Just constantly learn and stay on top of it. It is a very fast moving industry.
I could not agree more. And thank you, Chris, for taking time today to record with us. As mentioned in my intro, we're going to link to Chris's guest posts on our blog. And there's also some great resources, as Chris mentioned, on Search Engine Journal. You publish there a couple of times as well. So, yeah, definitely encourage you to follow Chris there. Um, and thank you to our listeners as always. And we'll see you next episode. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Smart Route Podcast. Share your favorite takeaways with us on Twitter at Smart Route Pod. Smart Route is brought to you by Call Tracking Metrics, and you can find more at calltrackingmetrics.com/podcast. Follow along for ideas and conversations that will inspire your own business path forward. Speaking of smart paths, are your marketing, sales, and service teams on the same page? In today's remote world, it's easy to get disconnected. Call Tracking Metrics can help. We empower smart marketing teams to determine the best route for campaigns by showing exactly which ad campaigns are driving conversations that convert. Operational teams can use that data to automate call flows and power contact center success. Visit calltrackingmetrics.com to see why more than 100,000 customers around the globe trust Call Tracking Metrics to manage communications for their marketing, sales, and service teams.